Thank you, Representative Paulson, and thank you for helping to organize this tribute to a truly great native son of Minnesota who made us all so proud in so many ways that, as you said, Eric, it's hard to enumerate all of them. When it came to public service, when it came to governance, when it came to bipartisanship, when it came to doodling, when it came to baseball, I mean, the list just goes on and on. And he truly made us proud in so many ways. And I too want to recognize other friends of the Frenzel family who are here. As you said, Bill and Ruthie were inseparable. They were clearly a team, and that can be so valuable and so important to the success of a legislator, a great public servant. And Bill was so proud of his family, and the girls, Debbie and Pam and Mitty, talked about them often. And I want to thank the family for being there for Bill and giving him the strength to carry on and to do all the great things that he did. As Eric mentioned, we served together in the State House of Representatives. Bill had been there before me. I followed him to the Congress. Again, obviously he'd been there before me, but he was always such a good friend, offering all kinds of guidance and help negotiating the ways of the State House and the state and the ways of the U.S. House and the ways of the government here. Just a wonderfully good friend and a good mentor that I shall always be forever grateful for his mentoring and his guidance. And that was something he did for anyone who had the good judgment to take advantage of it, because he was always open, he was always available, he was always there for you, and he was always so incredibly well prepared. But the thing I liked most about Bill was that he was so respectful of everyone else and their ideas. And you knew if you had an idea, whether it was a good one or a bad one, you were going to get a hearing with Bill Frenzel. And if it was a bad idea, of course, he'd be the first to tell you and tell you why. And quite frankly, more often than not, he was right. And that was just such an important lesson that he gave to all of us and inspired us all. When it came to things like Eric mentioned, the budget, you know, most members, will maybe read the summary. Bill Frenzel, he read that thing in its entirety, and he knew where every nickel and every dime was going, and he understood the consequences of it. When it came to trade policy, same thing. He knew all of its implications. He understood international trade. In fact, Eric, in many ways, he was an inspiration for me outside of politics as well, in no small measure to the benefits that he articulated to trade. Because when I left this Congress, some 34 years ago, I went into export trading because I'd heard Bill Frenzel talk about the incredible opportunity that we had with our technology, our ability to produce food, our ability to produce good consumer goods, our ability to produce things that improve the lives of people all over the world, and why not get out there and aggressively export those goods and those services, which is what I ended up doing for 32 years before I had the weak moment and came back to this institution. No, I'm just kidding. I'm delighted and thrilled to be back here. And for Bill Frenzel, I feel so much better prepared than I was, quite frankly, when I served years ago, thanks in no small part to Bill Frenzel. And when it came to the rules of the House, Bill understood, you know, the importance of the integrity of this institution as well, better than anyone. And I suspect Bill would be on the floor here today from time to time, calling for the reestablishment of regular order. Because Bill was never afraid of anyone else's idea. In fact, he welcomed them. And Bill and I and others, we served in a time when if anyone had a good idea, they could offer it to the rest of the chamber in the form of an amendment, and we could debate it, and we could argue it, and we did it in committee, in full committee. We did it in conference committee. And Bill Frenzel understood that that was the foundation. That was the foundation of bipartisanship. That was the foundation of a Congress that was effectively governing and getting things done. And that was perhaps, you know, his greatest contribution to all of us, because only through that process do we get to know one another and build respect for one another and learn where those areas for common agreement and fixing things and getting things done comes from. And we have Bill Frenzel to thank for that. And I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about his doodling. You know, it was amazing. You'd be in a committee or you'd be in a hearing and Bill would be busy doodling away. You know, you think he wasn't paying any attention at all. And suddenly he would rise and he'd have a question. And it was like the best question that anybody asked. He obviously, he had a two-track brain. One hand was doodling, but boy, he never missed a thing. He never missed a thing. And that was Bill Frenzel. And speaking of those doodles, and boy, they're treasured. You know, to have a Bill Frenzel, a doodle that's been autographed, I mean, in this town, that's like having a Picasso, you know. I mean, these were great doodlies, as you've seen, the intricacy and the geometry and the creativity of them. It's just amazing. And how he could do that was amazing as well. And of course, he was a great Minnesota sports fan. One of the stars on the Republican baseball team. And of course, he loved Minnesota sports, you know, the Vikings, the Twins, the North Stars, you name it. And he always showed up in those games with his Minnesota Twins jersey on, you know. And they used to win a lot of games back in the day. Then Marty Sable came along and started managing the Democrats, and things turned on him. But Bill was a great ball player. He loved Minnesota. He loved Minnesota sports, and just a wonderfully good friend. As I said in the beginning, whether it was governing, whether it was baseball, whether it was doodling, whether it was family, whether it was bipartisanship, advising presidents, welcoming new members, advising and helping others. There was just no greater mentor, no greater public servant than Minnesota ever had in the wonderful Bill Frenzel. And his life will continue to be an inspiration for all of us going forward. And truly, our state, our nation is a better place for Bill Frenzel. And his inspiration will enable all of us to continue that great tradition forward and continue to make this great nation of ours a better place to live. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and fellow members, for the opportunity to stand here and pay homage to a great Minnesotan and a great public servant for our state and our nation.